The final segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. LMadu3, and the topic is from revolution to nuclear ambition, the country of Iran. And of course, Dr. LMadu3, let's finish that conversation.
Now, like I was saying, when the Iranian revolution came into being, it became a threat to the Iraqi government. Of course, the Iraqi government is a secular Baptist state, which means Saddam Hussein didn't care which religion you went, you belong to, as far as you're not preaching on the streets. He told everybody, Catholic, Muslim, whatever, go to mosque, pray, but don't stay on the street and preach to anybody. He doesn't want to hear that. He wants everybody just to be the same. Doesn't want any religious problem. And understandably too, because the two holiest shrines of the Shiite is based in Iraq, in Najaf and Kabbalah. And that would be a source of problem for his regime, knowing that almost 60% of his population is Shiite, the same number that predominates in Iran. So after this, Khomeini started preaching against Saddam Hussein. He never forgot the slight, like I said before, being kicked out of Iraq by Saddam Hussein. And Iraq used it, as an excuse, even though they've been preparing for long to attack Iran in order to forestall, However, the Iraqis say, well, what precipitated the direct attack was the assassination attempt against Tariq Aziz by an Iraqi group called Al-Dawa that was sponsored and paid by the Iranians. Of course, the government of the United States and most European countries wanted Saddam Hussein to attack Iran anyway in order to stop the revolution, from moving. Why? In 1953, we remember, the CIA helped orchestrate the coup that overthrew Dr. Mohammad Mossadegh, who was a popular Iranian prime minister, and installed the Shah back to power. The Shah had already been overthrown. He left and he was in Rome. So the CIA did all this. So the Iranians never forgot that role played by the United States in '53.
And you think that they're still having an impact on our policy now?
Up to today, yes, they still think, there's always some behind everything the United States does on the border. And of course, one will say, well, before, why was Iran, not flexing its muscles around? And that comes to 1970, the Gulf War. You remember that after the Gulf War, George Bush said, hey, we've accomplished what the UN resolution said. Go to Kuwait, kick Iraq out and leave them. Okay, a lot of people say, why didn't you go to Baghdad and complete the job, overthrow Saddam Hussein and all this? But George Bush and his advisors, and Colin Powell, who was Joint Chief of Staff, and the rest said, no, let's leave Saddam Hussein there. He's being contained, but at the same time, he's a good instrument to keep an eye on the Iranians. As much as he's in power, the Iranians are not going to do anything foolish because they're always worried about what Saddam Hussein is going to do next. Okay? Yeah. But when we went in there and overthrew Saddam Hussein, we freed the Iranians to do what they want to do. Hezbollah in Lebanon got stronger because the Iranians were financing them. Remember that Lebanon, about 35% of Lebanon is Shiite, and Hezbollah is also a Shiite group. Okay, now you free the Shiites in Iraq that Saddam Hussein contained. Now you have 60% of the Shiites in Iraq and those in Iran teaming up. Okay, nobody to control them. Okay. So in a way now we're talking about, okay, Iran wants to build a nuclear bomb. If Saddam Hussein was there, there will be, Iranians will be busy trying to build up their conventional weapons and all this to face Iraq than even focusing on the nuclear design. All the money and all this that they are putting there now will be used for some else to defend themselves against Saddam Hussein.
So there was always a real belief that they had to prepare for a war against Iraq. Is that,
exactly, because they never know what Saddam Hussein will do. And Saddam Hussein was busy building his offensive weapons and chemical weapons that he used against Iran anyway in that 1988
he had
war.
already done that.
Exactly. So the Iranians would have been busy trying to use the money for these conventional weapons than building nuclear weapons. So as far as Saddam Hussein was there, Iran would have been contained. We will use Saddam Hussein to keep them in check. But when we went foolishly and overthrew Saddam Hussein, then Iran was free to pursue its nuclear ambition without worrying about its neighbors, Pakistan wasn't going to do anything. Pakistan is friendly with, Pakistan already has its own bomb, the Islamic bomb. Afghanistan is in chaos. They don't have nothing to do. They won't even do nothing to Iran. The other, neighbors, Soviet Azerbaijan, former Soviet, the same. There are shares over there. So you see, Iran is let loose. Now, who is more worried about Iran's nuclear ambition? Now, one would be surprised is the Arab countries. The Arab countries.
It's not the Israelis.
Okay. Not though Israelis are worried because of what Ahmadinejad has been saying. And, in all likelihood, they might attack Iran. But the Arab countries are more worried.
About Iran having a nuclear weapon.
Because from time immemorial, the Arabs have been fighting with the Persians. You had during the war between Iran and Iraq, Saddam called that war the Qadisiyah. That was about a war fought between the Persians and Arabs before, almost centuries before. So countries like Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Oman, all of them are worried about Iran having the nuclear weapon because the Iranians might use it as an intimidating this thing against the Arab countries.
Wouldn't this be a good Arab core to use, for the West to use, in terms of trying to work with these individuals, individual countries, to keep Iran from moving farther toward a nuclear weapon? Would that be a good method of trying to check Iran now?
Well, yes, but then those Arab countries don't have the wherewithal militarily on their own, so that's the problem. But the fear is this: if Iran obtains this nuclear weapon, as it's trying to do now, in all likelihood, Egypt will move. Okay, Egypt has the means and all that. Egypt will move to acquire them, and probably Pakistan might, smuggle some to Egypt or from North Korea. Saudi Arabia, with all the money it has, can have some. Saudi Arabia financed Pakistan's nuclear weapons, so they might acquire one themselves. So what you have is a proliferation of nuclear weapons in the whole of the nuclear in the Middle East, which will be a threat to Israel.
Israel as well as to one another.
As well as to one another, okay? And that's what most of the European countries and the United States do not want to see happen. See, now Israel might on its own act against Iran. Now, we don't have good intelligence on the ground in Iran, but the Israelis do. Because during the Shah's regime, Israel had an embassy in Tehran, and the Shah was on good terms with the Israelis. The Israeli secret police, the Mossad, and the Iranian secret police, the Savak, had good relationship. They cooperated with each other, exchanged information to keep an eye on the Arab countries, okay? Because Israel was in conflict with the Arab countries. And the Iranians at the same time are not in good terms with most of the Arab countries either. So the Savak and Mossad were cooperating. So when the Shah was overthrown, some of those Mossad agents were still in Iran.
We've got 2 minutes.
So they know what's happening.
We've got 2 minutes, Dr. Madu. What should be our policy now? I mean, what can we do? I mean, as a policy, the Western countries.
Well, A will be sanctions. But, as experience has shown, sanctions don't do much but punish the regular, ordinary person on the street. The big shots will eat well, and they can smuggle what they want continuously. We want we're asking the Russians and the Chinese to assist because, in putting strong sanctions and stopping the supply of some nuclear materials to Iran. But then you have the economic factor. China wants all that oil and gas from Iran to develop its economy. The Russians are selling whatever they can to boost the economy to Iran at the same time. So in order to get this accomplished, those two countries have to cooperate with us.
China and
Russia. Otherwise, there's no way we can stop it unless the Israelis go in there and bomb those facilities like they did in Iraq, which might be difficult, but they have the capacity and capability of doing that.
And so in a real sense, we're sort of in a real hole in reference to Iran in terms of it developing its own nuclear weapon. We have very little leeway in terms of controlling that.
That's correct. And that's, like I said, that's why we should not have overthrown Saddam Hussein to begin with. We would have had at least you know, somebody around there to use and keep an eye on them.
And of course, Dr. Badu, it's time out for us. And let me thank you for coming by, and let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.